wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on as far as the credit market crunch. Now, we've heard about the $700 billion bailout. We've heard about the GDP. We've heard about deficits, and we've heard about people on Wall Street making millions and millions of dollars, even if we bail them out. What's really going on? What's happening next year? And what can we do about it right now? That's what we're going to talk about on this week's Romance Seminar. I'm your host, Jay Green. We've all heard the term GDP, or gross domestic product. That's how much goods and services is being brought into the United States, purchased by us, versus how many goods and services are being purchased in other countries from the United States. So it's a matter of what's coming in versus what's going out of the country. The deficit comes in that we should be, if the deficit says $7 trillion, what we're really doing is we're spending $7 trillion more than we're bringing in, meaning we're losing money, or we're losing goods and services per capita, per person. Now, old time America, the importance of that is it was a cash society versus where we're at now, a cash society. Now, if you look at the old time America, cars cost $500. The value of the dollar was so much higher. I would even venture to say that the credit market, the idea of credit, which is finance, that's all it is, the ability to finance immediately. Finance has driven down the value of the dollar, but it has improved the buying power of the everyday American. That is, you can buy more than you could have with the actual money in your pocket. So now if you have credit, which makes you have more money, which is meaning you can finance more. So now let's go to old time America. Now, old time America, cars, things cost a lot less, but the dollar was worth a lot more. I would venture to say that the credit market that we have now, which is credit is the same as saying finance, ability, the ability to finance, which is credit. That's all credit is, the ability to finance. That system has depressed the value of the dollar. Now, this is all important because if it has depressed the value of the dollar, the prices that we're using today go up exponentially almost. Case in point, car 40, 50 years ago cost $500. The introduction of the credit card, which is the mobile ability to finance, mobile loans in your pocket. You already have a line of credit, a line of financeability. Then now the car costs $20,000. Why? Because the car still costs maybe $500, $1,000 to make. But now that they have to finance, they don't get all their money for 10 years, 4 years, 3 years, depending on the product that you're buying. Now we have an issue. Now I'm not going to get all my money, therefore I have to charge you more because you're financing, and that loophole in waiting for all my money to come, yeah, I might get the value of the car back in the first 4 months, interest. But then the principle, now I can still conduct business. Let's go through an example real quick. If you think about the Apple, let's say you're an Apple salesperson, and now I'm the customer and I say I want to come buy some bushels of apples from you. Now what we're doing now is, think about it like this. I say, well, look, I only have $1 in my pocket, and now what I would like to do is buy 16 bushels of apples from you with the dollar in my pocket. But hey, I have financeability, credit. Now I can finance how much all these apples cost. I buy 16 bushels from you. Credit is worth something to you as a business person. So now you give me the 16. I have all the product, but you don't have any money. You might have my down payment of $1, but you still have to conduct business. You still have to plant your trees. You still have to conduct harvest, pay your bills at home, pay your salary of your employees, pay your salary, XYZ. Still money. So then over time, you're like, well, shucks, if everyone comes up to me and offers me credit, I still can't do anything with it. But you can't. You also have the ability to finance. You have credit too. So then if you have credit and everybody else has credit, we're getting closer and closer to the cashless society. Now, with that being said, the value of the dollar depresses because no one really gets the dollar anymore. Now you get a promise to pay note, which is all financeability. That's all credit is, the promise to pay, a note to promise to pay. And then it's a history of how many promissory notes you paid off or you've kept your promise on. Financeability. Now, moving forward, let's look at it like this. Now that you want your money, you're going to get, the reason you increase your prices is because now you got to meet your obligations, your financeability obligations. And at the same time, you still need to keep business going as usual. Plus, you need to take care of your home life. You need cash. So then sometimes you extract cash from that financeability and then you use it, but they charge you for it. Because remember, money itself is a commodity. So now, we're moving forward. Now that we understand what the GDP is, we understand how old-time America went from a cash society to now we're currently cashless society. We're trying to get there. What's happening is we have a credit crunch. Now this credit crunch is almost like the credit bubble is about to pop, just like the tech bubble or the internet bubble popped maybe in the 1990s. So now credit's got to a system where people don't really trust it anymore because that people aren't paying on those promissory notes anymore. So then that makes the paper, or as you heard on the news, CNBC or Fox Finance or whatever it's called, you might hear that people aren't paying on their mortgages or things of this nature. So that financial paper or commercial paper is no longer valuable, because it was valuable if I paid your apples, 16 bushels of your apples cost $30,000 and I gave you $1 down, you still have $30,000 coming to you over the next, let's say, 3 years. Over the next 3 years, I'm gonna give you $30,000 at, $160 a month or whatever it breaks down to. Now, I stopped paying on it. So then the likelihood after 90 days that I paid off is less likely through looking at history and analyzing the history of people paying payback habits. Now, if you look at a nation of people that are doing this credit system back and forth, where we're taking loans out for each other, but no one really gets any cash, then of course the dollar gets depressed and all the prices go up. So from a $500 car goes up to a $20,000 car. Now think about that as an American system, capitalism. What's going on now is we've gotten to a system now where no one really owns anything. You go flip a house, you don't have to have the cash for it. You go take out a risk, you don't have to have cash for anything in America. All you got to do is have credit. But what if all that disappears? Now we get to a point of a new hope. What if credit disappears, the value of the dollar goes back up? First, now if you look at an economic life cycle, a growth period, growth period being the bear market, and then there's a level off, which is called the bull market, and then you got a recession, and then you got a depression, and then starts all over. But when we start over from this credit crisis that we're in now, maybe the price, now before I get that far, we're going to find inflation. The prices are going to go up again because people aren't spending money and people need that cash now. But if you get rid of the credit system and the system crashes on itself, people have to have cash in their pockets. My finance professor theorized that maybe the system may go through where a renewing process where we don't need cash anymore. I mean, we don't need credit anymore. And if we don't need credit anymore, we might get to a system where the value of the dollar goes back up, but you don't have as much buying power because you can't finance anymore. You have to have the money in your pocket. You personally have to be responsible. We don't care what you used to do. We care what you can do now moving forward. You see the difference? That's a new hope. No credit, make it cash.